You're listening to the world-famous, listener-supported White Roof Radio. This is episode number 682.
If you're the type of guy who's like 10 o'clock in the morning, you're looking for a charger for your phone, electric cars are maybe not for you.
Hey everyone, it's your old pal TV in Arizona, bringing you a brand new episode of the world-famous White Roof Radio, but a little bit oddly shaped this time around. This time, instead of having Todd and Chad and possibly Gabe with us, what I decided to do is we got a hold of our good pal, White Roof Radio, longtime White Roof Radio listener, Niall Simpson in Northern Ireland, and he, we've talked about before, has a garage full of electric cars, including a 2021 Mini SE. But that'd be really great to get a chance to actually talk to him and see what it's like to own an electric Mini, and get his Mini history, which you hear about here in just a minute. He's a big a Mini nerd as they come, just like all of us are. And I think it was a great conversation. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this quite a bit. Let's go ahead and get right to it. This is DB. We're talking with Niall Simpson. He's over in the UK. This guy is a crazy cat. He owns, like, I don't know, a lot of Minis, 5 Minis. And the 2 daily driver cars in his household, his and his wife's, are both electric, an electric Mini and an electric Nissan Leaf. Niall, how are you?
I am great. Thanks, DB. Thanks for having a chat here.
Yeah, this is super awesome. We've been talking about this forever via instant message on Instagram and Twitter. And just like, well, let's just quit typing. It's just easier. Let's just record it and let everybody else listen in. It's going to be a good time.
Okay.
And the first question, what we really want to talk about is electric Minis. But let's start. How did you get started with Minis to begin with? What was your first? I know you got access to Minis before we did in 2002. But what was your first Mini?
Well, the first classic Mini I had was when I was about 19, and it was a 1975 Mini Special 1100, silver with black stripes on the side. It was great.
Nice.
Then it was that was the only one I had. I didn't have any for a while. And then about 2004, I started to get back into. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law had a classic. They had a Mark I classic Mini. And I started going to shows and doing this out, and then she bought I'm going to say 2002 R50. It was cherry red white, and I got to drive it. I got to drive it with her. She actually owned it before she had passed her driving test. It was really
wow, great. Very cool, very cool.
So I got to drive it for her, and it just came back straight away. That it's just so good to drive. So good.
The R50 was truly a brilliant automobile.
Oh, yeah.
And I will fight anybody who tells me otherwise. But the R50, in my opinion, is still the best.
Yeah. So that was her car. Then what did I buy after that? I bought a classic. I went back to get a classic because I thought that's what I wanted to do. So I got a real. It was a 1989 Mini Mayfair that had been done up by somebody really badly, but I didn't know any better, so I bought it anyway. It was okay. It got it to shows and drove it. Then we were due to change the family car, which at the time was a Renault People Carrier. It was horrible. It was a Scenic. You don't get them over there. You'd be thankful you don't.
We don't get Renaults anymore in the United States, and that's okay by me.
Yeah. So what did I buy? Yeah, we bought that was about 2006. I bought a 2004 R50, chili red black. That one had a name. That one was called Mo. We named them, it was Sir James Simpsons. We named them after Simpsons characters for a while. So that was Mo.
Nice.
The previous classic Mini was Barney, which fitted quite well, to be honest, if you look up the characters. So they were Mo. So we had that for about 2 years. Went everywhere in it, all over the UK, went to many runs, and just in the scene, doing everything. Really enjoyed it.
Nice.
What did we do after that? And so literally just before my third child was born, we traded it in for an R53S.
Nice.
So, 5 people, 4-seater car. Not sensible, but
don't just roof rack. I'm just saying.
No.
Okay.
But we coped anyway. And that was bought off. It was traded in. It had been traded in by another local enthusiast. So it had everything modded on it. It had everything done. It had aero kit, works exhaust, works suspension.
Nice.
It still has a Z-Max rear spoiler, one of the extended. It's an odd aftermarket thing, so it's sort of lifted up. It's really nice. Then I put a pulley on it and a cold air intake, and I still have that one. That one is
Excellent.
not going anywhere. It's being kept.
Nice. So you've been driving minis for a while, is what you're saying.
Yeah, a long time.
So how did you make the jump from going from petrol power to electric? How did that come about?
Yeah, I'd bought at the middle of last year. I'd been at 3 years. I'd had a Mini Cooper S. This is an F56 Cooper S diesel. Now I know you don't get them, but
I know, and I really wish we did. I covet that car.
Yeah, it was such a good car.
Yeah.
You could just drive it however you wanted, just fast, slow, and you got 50 miles a gallon. Okay, that's an imperial gallon. 50 miles a gallon everywhere. It just torque. Didn't rev. Obviously, there's no good sounds on it, but it just pulled, just torque everywhere. You just put your foot down. Didn't matter what gear, off you went. Just great.
Nice.
Fantastic car. But anyway, so I'd had it about 3 years. It was the lease for it was 4 years. So I'd been thinking. I was at the launch event for the electric. The dealer had invited me to it. So that would have been late 2020. I think we saw that. And
that sounds about right. Mm-hmm.
It looked great, and it looked great value. The numbers, you saw the numbers, I was like, oh, this is great. But obviously I hadn't driven it. There were a lot of questions still at the time. Nobody had driven it.
Well,
so
nobody had driven it, right?
No. So it was then, obviously 2020, everything happened. So nobody was driving anything anywhere.
Right.
So I was still driving mine. I was still working. We worked right through. So it needed a service, and it hadn't been serviced. So there was a few things needed done to it. So it went in for a service in May 2021. And the local dealer said, do you want to try that? I did want to try driving the electric. It was the first chance I got. So I drove it on the day, just a quick 20-minute drive, and it was great. And then, of course, got back and it says, we need to get a part in. I forget what part it was. We needed to get a part for the car.
It doesn't matter. It was 2021. There weren't any parts available.
So anyway, so my dealer, he sort of basically says, well, do you want to take a loan car? Is it okay if you take an electric? And yeah, of course it is.
You get an electric Mini as a loaner? Nice.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Oh, yeah.
He knew it was going to come out of it. Yeah, but it's okay. So I had it for a whole weekend. I had it for about 5 days. So I was able to experience it, get to learn it. I did my normal commute, and it was like, this thing's great. This is great. And it drives exactly like a Mini, but better.
Yeah. Yes.
You just have to drive it. Yeah. You've now done it. You drove it in I think you've driven one now, haven't you?
Gabe and I were at the BMW Test Fest, and they had electric minis on an autocross course. I couldn't take it out on the street or on the track or anything, but I got to drive it on an autocross course. It was just like driving an R50 or an R53, exactly the same.
It's just a Mini, but it's just that. It just goes. It's just that instant acceleration. It's fantastic. And I was hooked, and he knew I was hooked when I brought it back. So then at that point, my wife's Clubman, she had a F54 Clubman, just a Cooper Clubman, which is better than you think it is, but it's not an S. Anyway, it was in for a service. So she got a loan car as well, just for an afternoon. They gave her the electric as well.
Danger.
Yeah. Well, we sort of knew. I was sort of on the edge of going to buy it anyway, and we share the car. So one of us was going to have to trade our car in.
Got it.
That was going to be a problem for one of us. But so she had it, and then she was convinced. So we drove it back on a Friday afternoon to pick up her car, and an hour and a half later, I'd ordered an electric. That was that. It was,
and it was done.
Tick the boxes,
and it was
just sitting there.
Yeah. Why not?
Mark, who is a listener, will know.
Nice.
He knew what he was doing.
Excellent. Hi, Mark. How you doing?
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was awkward. So you started with the electric Mini 2021, and it's been your daily driver. So, and this is a car that only goes about 115 miles per charge. How far is your commute? Have you taken it, and just to see how far you can take it until it runs out of electricity? What craziness have you done? What weird stuff or what cool stuff have you noticed with this car?
Well, my commute is 13 and a half miles. So, I think 13 and a half miles each way. So, in the summer, it is the electric car. The battery is definitely temperature dependent.
Okay.
In the summer, I've got 135 miles at range from a charge down to about 4%.
Wow.
And it's fine. You get used to it. I have also run it down to 1%.
Okay.
Once I got to know it, that was the first thing I did. I spent a lot of time the first couple of weeks learn where the local charging stations were.
Right.
Learn how they work because they're not all the same. Didn't
and make sure you have accounts set up on all of them.
Yeah, exactly. All the cards, all the stuff. So eventually I got to the point where I was like, right, I understand this car. I know what it does, this, that, and other. And so I wanted to go to, needed a charge. So our local charging stations in Northern Ireland are still currently free to use. So there's very little. I do charge at home, but free's free.
Free, yeah. I mean, I'm all about free.
So I was my range said about 11 miles, and the rapid charger was 10 miles away. It was early in the morning, and I thought, well, I'll just go and do that. Now, there were 2 others on the way, so I knew where I was.
You could push it for a mile. I mean, come on, it's amazing, right?
Well, I haven't tried that. But I'd also watched YouTube videos and seen guys take them 7, 8, 9 miles past zero. I didn't want to do that, but I've seen it done. They do seem to be quite conservative in their warnings and range stuff. It seems that way anyway.
Sure.
So with just past them, about 3 miles to the rapid charger, I passed the last charger with 3 miles range showing on the car. So I had a mile to spare. And it ticked over to 1% and 1 mile left as I rolled up to the rapid charger. But I now know, I've never had it back to 1 before since, but I know if it says 2, I'm okay.
Yeah,
as long as I'm not 4 miles away. But it's just getting the reassurance. I mean, range anxiety is a thing. Everybody who's an electric car owner, it is. At some point, you'll be like, oh, can I make that? You have to plan ahead a bit more. You have to think a bit more. If you're the type of guy who's like 10 o'clock in the morning, you're looking for a charger for your phone, electric cars are maybe not for you. You need to think about it a little bit. You need to plan a little bit.
Just a little bit.
It's not like a petrol car. You can't just wing
Pop
it quite
into
as
a
easily.
shop and get some. Right?
You can't wing it quite as easily. You have to. There's a little bit of thought, but after a while, you get used to it. You're doing calculations of time, and you're doing calculations in your head a little bit of the time. It's not. Yeah. You just have to think a tiny bit more of what you do.
There's a really good chance. I'm thinking really hard that the next car that ends up in my garage is gonna replace. We have 2 ICE cars now, so 2 internal combustion, and we get the F56, and then the wife's car. So what I'm hoping is one of those, probably be the one that I drive, will get replaced with an electric vehicle, and I'd really like it to be a Mini. So because it's kind of a little self-serving, you know what I'm saying? I drove it. I thought it was great because most of my driving is I drive 50 miles a week.
Yeah.
Right, because with the new normal, I drive 50 miles a week, and that includes going to the office 1 day a week. So technically, I could drive on a full charge for an entire week. So I just thought it'd be really nice. And I know there's a lot of people out there in the WRR Radio listening land that have that are kind of in the same boat. And so now that both of your primary vehicles in your garage are now electric, the 2 daily drivers, yours and your wife's, how does that affect anything? I mean, the only thing you can't do is like a super huge road trip, right?
You can't do a road trip like that on a whim. You can't just go, let's drive. Also,
you know what?
I live
Now that you mention it, because if we go back to the whole, you got to plan ahead a little bit. That makes doing a road trip like old school. It's like, let's bust out the maps and let's plan our route and see where we're going to go. This time you're busting out Google Maps and you're looking for all the charging stations.
Well, there are apps that will plan your route for you. They know your range.
Oh, nice.
There's a couple do it. A better route planner, I think, is one of the ones and it works. I haven't used it in anger yet, but I've tested it out. I mean, for the reality, I live in Northern Ireland. My range will get me anywhere in Northern Ireland and most of the way back, no matter where I go. If I want to go, they're probably around a bit further. I need to think about it, but there are public charging stations. Okay. So it's just a matter of knowing where you're going in advance. And it's not too bad.
Has there been any, I don't know, any issues or any kind of, I don't even know what word I'm looking for, because you no longer are using gasoline powered cars? I mean, other than not having to purchase petrol on a regular basis, have there been any downsides to having your primary vehicles being electric?
So far, not really.
Really?
Other than just the the steep learning curve. The very first week or two is a steep learning curve. Beyond that, it's different. It's new.
Okay.
Just getting used to
just getting used to plugging your car in and just getting used to driving past the gas stations. Really.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's been really easy the last while. Looking at the prices, I'd keep driving.
Especially right now.
Yeah.
And your guys' gas is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's probably double what you're paying.
Probably more now. What are you guys paying per liter? What are you guys paying per liter right now? Do you know?
The nearest one I've seen today was £1.74. That was for diesel, but yeah. So what's that? Say $2.50 a liter. So US gallon is what, 4-ish. So
yeah,
$8 or $9 a gallon.
Yeah, I talked about this in the last show that was released the day that we recorded this. Actually, I put up with Cast 681. I talked a little bit about that, or was it in Black Roof? It doesn't matter. I talked about that a little bit because of gas prices, and we're not talking about gas because we're talking about electric. So, and then the other electric car in your garage, sadly, isn't a Mini.
No,
but it's a Nissan Leaf, and I know it's got better range, and Nissan's been building that car forever, and you can get them dirt cheap used now too, even in the United States. And how's that car working out for you guys? Also, is it the same kind of a thing? Just is that the one that you take if you have to go a little bit further because it's got better range?
Not really. It's not really been like, again, given our use cases, we're not driving that far. It's not really a big deal. It's more just the space. It's just a bigger car. It was more about space, about the actual size of the vehicle than the actual type of car. If there had been a Countryman or a Clubman available, at the end of last year, that's what would have happened. Almost certainly.
Straight electric, not this hybrid nonsense, but straight electric.
If it had been available, yes. We could have got a hybrid Countryman, but it just didn't seem... It just wasn't the way we wanted to go anymore. It turns out that, in hindsight, that'd been a really good choice. Given the costs and stuff.
So the Nissan Leaf actually, pricing is about the same. Actually, the range is not as much as oh no, there's the big range right there.
Yeah, it's the larger battery.
It's a city range, right. But it's still, Niall, I'm really sorry, but I know you said it looks better.
Yeah, better is better, but
I think we need to define better because from the side it looks better. How about that? From the side it looks better.
From underneath, from the back. Great, yeah. From underneath, it looks great, yeah.
Perfect. And like we already mentioned, you switched, and no problem. Both you and your wife totally pleased. This is not a decision that you regret in any way, shape, or form. No,
almost the exact opposite. I mean, I think I've said in the various conversations we had, I don't see myself going back to a nice daily driver ever.
Nice.
But I'm not selling any of the other cars. Sure. There's still petrol minis sitting outside. Yeah. I'm not going to sell because they're collectible. They're collectibles almost at this point. I know that sounds ridiculous, but they are. Right. And they're not. But daily driver, I can't see it. It's it suits me silly. What I do. It would not suit everybody. And I'm not an evangelist for electric cars. There are people who it will not suit for. No, but there's people who it will never suit. Maybe.
Never.
But and I understand that probably more in America than over here because the distances are huge, and I get that it's different.
Because it's over here, and not since I've lived in Arizona, but when I was in California, I really couldn't have used an electric car because my commute was typically 100 miles round trip. Yeah. And in which case the Mini would be a really bad choice for that. But the Nissan Leaf would actually turns out, besides being absolutely just hideous to look at. I'm sorry, I know you have one. I'll stop, Neil. I promise.
No, I'm not.
But it said, because besides, that would be the one I'd have to get, right? Or upgrade hardcore to like a Tesla. So, but I live in Arizona now, and my commute hasn't been more than 20 miles. It's like, there. Well, 20 miles one way, 40 miles round trip. So, I mean, I get it. But there's still a lot of those people that are still doing that commute. And I just I just can't even.
Yeah. And it's not for everybody. Yeah, the one thing about the Leaf that you really notice most of all is when you go into a bend, and it is most definitely not a Mini. It does not handle at all. It just doesn't. And
it's just you go and you hit a corner too fast, and it's one of those things where it's just like it just keeps going straight, and you've turned the wheel, but it's like nope.
No, it rolls a lot. It's like no, this is not a Mini. And you have. I'm used to it now, but at the start, it was like whoa, no, this is bad.
Right.
It's okay now.
Because the nice thing about the Mini SE, the Mini Electric, and I drove it, and I haven't, obviously, how many miles do you have on yours? No.
Mine's at about 7,500 miles now.
7,500 miles. Yeah, I've driven for like, I don't know, a minute. But one thing that I noticed about that car that was really, really cool, and we talked about this on the show, is it was almost like exactly the same as driving an R50. Almost exactly the same. The way it dove, the way it, when you chucked it in a corner real hard, the way it kind of rolled over just a little bit. It was really, it's exactly like driving a Mini. I don't know how they did it, but it's brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, the raid's better. The raid is really nice. It's F56 raid. I think it's lifted, 15 millimeters, half an inch or something.
Something, it's for the battery protection. Yeah, not a lot.
But I mean, I was in the diesel before, which was heavier than a standard F56 slightly. So to me, it feels almost identical. You know,
okay. Yeah. And you had the diesel S or just the diesel Cooper?
No, the SD. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, got it.
So it has
nice.
It's basically almost the same power, and slightly. I think it actually has slightly more torque than the electric, but it delivers it differently.
Yeah, exactly, because it was diesel.
But it
nice,
very, very similar performance. You know, other than one was manual and the other, obviously this is automatic. This is the first automatic car I've owned. I've driven them, but it's the first automatic I've owned. But it's not even. There's no gears. That's the actual driving. Yeah, it
doesn't really count as an automatic.
No, But for me, it's the only one I've actually owned.
Nice.
That driving experience is the other thing. It's just a slight learning curve. Just the recharge. You're lifting your foot off the accelerator and it brakes.
Yes.
The first hour or two, that takes a bit of time to get used to.
Yeah.
Now it's almost a challenge to just do a journey without touching the brake pedal.
Oh, very cool.
You can do it. It's just, it's just easy. I can do my commute without touching the brake pedal.
Nice. But, yeah, I tried doing I tried that when I did the autocross on that, and I had the auto regen turned on, and I think it affected my time. I think it made me worse. I should have had time as good as Gabe's, but because I had auto regen on, it freaked me out a little bit.
It takes time to get used to. It really does.
Yeah. But nice.
Yeah, it worked well.
Very cool. And so then that's it. That's all I had. I didn't have anything else. Was there anything other I could give you a hard time about your Mini Cooper Electric not having a white roof? That's a little bit of a disappointment, but otherwise you get the right. It's chili red. Black roof's okay. Black roof's okay. Yeah. I've got a black roof on my Mini now, so I really can't complain.
Yeah.
We could sit here and talk Minis all day, but I just really wanted to get your input on what you think of your electric and only having electric cars. I don't know anybody who only has electric cars, and now we all know somebody who has a garage full of nothing but electric cars. It's our daily driver. It's our man Niall Simpson from the UK. Yeah. Thank you very much, Niall. Really appreciate you talking to us today.
It's been great, DB. Thanks very much.
Bye. Thanks again, Niall, for joining us here underneath the white roof, telling us about your electric car experience, Special Electric Mini. Very, very cool stuff. We really appreciate that. Good chance we'll be talking to you again. So, keep the Twitter DMs open, right? If you have any questions for Niall, by all means, shoot them over to us, White Roof Radio on the Twitter. Leave a comment in the show notes, whatever you want to do. And we'll make sure that myself and Niall will pay attention. We'll see what happens. We're going to have another odd-shaped month as well. We have a lot of things going on in the month of April. You guys needed to know that we're just going to be kind of hit or miss. We really appreciate you sticking with us. Stay subscribed. There will be another episode of White Roof Radio coming out very, very soon. I do promise we have a lot of fun things to talk about. But for right now, this is the part of the show where I like to make that funny clicking sound, and then I say, questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead, click back over to whiteroofradio.com. There you can leave us a note in the show notes. You can also email us, feedback@whiteroofradio.com. But until next time, gang, this is DB. I'm done.